Hey, welcome to another episode of Uncorked with T. I'm Tamara Israel, and I'm here with my guest, Jeni Wheeler. So, today we are talking about multitasking. We're going to talk to Jeni about how she multitasks with the many, many things she does. Let's go down the list. So, Jeni is the founder and chief culinary artist for Jeni's Joy. She's a founder of Family Table Collaborative. She is the executive chef and program director for Faith Family Kitchen. She's a vice chair for Leadership Cape Cod. She's on the steering committee of the Y Achievers. She's on the steering committee of Health Network Area 27, and she is teaching Fun with Food for the Cape Culinary Incubator. Hey, Jeni, what's up? Do you breathe?
Every chance I get.
Every chance you get.
It's a good thing I was a competitive swimmer. So, breath control is a big part of how you live.
It's important. It's so very important.
Very necessary for scuba diving. It comes in handy for lots of things.
Yeah, who needs to breathe? It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. However, you know what you do need?
It is Uncorked with T, so let's go on back.
Uncorked with T. Which, by the way, I just want to mention, because you've given me credit, that the name of this came out of a random conversation that we had.
Yes, we did.
Which was so fun. And I just said to you, I was like, I don't understand why you're not doing a nighttime one of this. You've got a perfect thing, Uncorked with Tea.
Let's drink and talk some shit. Like, I want to know how you do the thing.
This is so fun.
I'm
like, coffee with tea. I love coffee and tea. So, I can't go wrong with that.
Right.
But, a little bit more of the uncut portion of the evening.
Hi. So, Jeni, today it was 11 degrees and you were out freezing your buns off, giving out food boxes.
If only they got smaller when I was out doing that, it would be awesome. Like, I would be like, let's do it. Freeze them off every day.
Yeah. What program out of the many that you work for were you working for today? And have you warmed up yet?
The scotch is helping.
Always does.
Scotch is helping. I was actually out working with the Mass Military Support Foundation. Not something you listed. However, Don Cox and the Mass Military Support Foundation was amazing with receiving the contracts with the USDA, providing farmers to families food boxes for all of New England, which has allowed us to give out at least 1,000 32-pound boxes of fresh food, meat, dairy, and produce to families every week for the past several months, helping people get through the pandemic in drive-through formats. So this morning I was giving out boxes to local schools.
I went to Walmart. Like, that's what I did this morning. So I want to talk to you about multitasking because you do a lot of that. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word multitask? Like, what's the first couple things that pop into your head?
Normalcy.
Okay.
I think that people are wired differently, right? Like, you seem in awe of my ability to multitask. I regularly cry because I can't do it. There's a lot of perspective to be had here. Mm-hmm. I see all the flaws and all of what doesn't go right. And I manage a lot of man behind the curtain stuff. Don't let them see you sweat. So there's once in a while I look at that person and go, who the F is that on Facebook? Who's that chick?
What's happening right now? Like,
who is she? So, I think there's a lot of perspective to be had, right? I keep myself busy, but there's also, a lot of people I'm single. I don't have any kids.
Mhm.
You know, and there's a lot of, you know, yeah, you run from things in your past without even wanting to. And, you
Mhm.
know, anyone that's close to me knows I had 3 miscarriages. I desperately wanted kids and don't have any. And so, you know, I keep busy. I do things that I try to make my life worth something, that it means something. And I think that people know usually that I come with a level of real and sincerity. And I think part of it's because you know, I have overcome some stuff in my past. And
You've
so
been through some shit.
I don't judge people. You know, and I kind of, I have what I don't feel like should be a unique ability, but sometimes I feel like, unfortunately it is. I have a real ability to meet people where they're at,
Hmm.
because the hardest thing in my life I've had to do was learn to meet myself where I was at.
Whoo-wee! Yes. Yes. Let's get into that. So, um, meet people where they're at. How challenging? No, challenging isn't the right word. How did you learn how to do that? Because it's not a thing that people necessarily teach us, it's a thing we have to learn through life. So, what experiences helped you learn how to meet people where they are? And how have you not stopped yet? Because meeting people where they are is draining, it is energy consuming. So, how have you learned how to meet people where they are and continue to do so?
Well, because I think life itself is a journey, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's not a destination. So when I say I learned to meet myself where I was at, that's it's a moving target, right? Because it's not like, oh wow, hey, have you met me? um, it's not that easy, right? Like, so I think that when you go through trauma and you go through pain and um you you manage, sometimes even accidentally, to come out the other side, right?
Mhm.
You have choices. You can either choose to be defeated and really never move past it,
Mm.
or you can fight every day to make your life worth something. And I'm not talking about worth something to you, I'm talking about worth something to me, right?
Mhm.
um you know, and so the reality is it's hard, it's hard to do that. And so when you have seen yourself at your worst, when you have hit your own rock bottom,
Mhm.
it gives you a perspective that is unlike anything else. I feel like I don't think that can be taught. And to be fair, I'm not sure I really want that to be taught.
Mhm.
um you know, I lived through some kind of scary stuff. Like, and so I I feel compelled I feel compelled to make my life worth something, because, you know, I lost 3 babies that were desperately wanted, all with heartbeats, and it sucked the soul out of me. And the reality is, you know, there was a moment where I just didn't want to be here. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want that. And so I think back now, and I think it's important that people realize this to some degree, because it's funny how often people are like, oh, wow. Like, and people say this to me all the time: you're the Facebook lady. And I'm super happy that kids identify me with that. And I'm super happy to be that. And that is me.
Mhm.
But it's a facade
Mhm.
to think or believe, or for me to allow people to think that that's the only side of me, because that is one moment in time, and it's absolutely me. I am that person through and through. There is not anything more sincere than you see me wanting to help people and wanting to participate and wanting to be a part of solving problems.
Mhm.
But there's also the me that struggles, that cries, that doesn't feel like she's good enough, that, you know, that recognizes, and I try and live in those moments too, because those moments allow me to stay as real and as in touch. And so when you say, how do I meet people where they're at? Because I have to relearn how to meet myself where I'm at every day. Every day I have to relearn this. Like, and it's not easy. And I don't want anyone to think it is easy. Like, I don't want to pretend it's easy. So it requires being present, which is not easy unto itself. It requires being present. It requires being thoughtful. It requires being kind.
Yes.
To yourself and to others. It requires when it's funny because I recently had this issue come up. We talk about unity. We talk about finding ways to bring people together. We talk about, and no one has, I think there's lots of people that feel very disconnected and very angry and frustrated coming out of the last several years. And I'm a white woman, but I'm one of them. Like, and as somebody who's always, the only word I can find is like be an ally who recognizes the disconnect. The babies I lost were mixed race. I feel very strongly that, you have to walk towards unity. You have to find ways, I say all the time, like everyone has a seat at my table. Well, that I mean it, right? But nothing will challenge you more as bringing somebody to the table that you vehemently disagree with. And having to really walk in your own faith, whatever it is. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about finding your belief system and being like, okay, well, if I don't walk this walk, then I'm just as disingenuous as anyone else. So I might look at that person and go, good God. Whew, okay, having a tough time here. Let me breathe. But the reality is I'm really forcing myself to try to do that. And it's not that I find it easy. And to be honest, it's hard right now because some of this stuff is really, in my mind, anger provoking and nonsensical and just incredibly hurtful. And yet, if we don't try to take steps to listen and learn, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying entertain nonsense. Facts are still facts in my book. Science still matters.
Science is a thing, guys.
There's a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not willing to entertain that. But at the same time, I'm trying to walk the walk, and it's not easy. And I think that it's not easy with political stuff right now. It's not easy with pandemic stuff right now. It's not easy in your own personal life, trying to figure out how you confront your own fears, your own, intolerances, your own inadequacies that you perceive. But it's real, right? I mean, I think the best thing we can do is I'm real. I operate man behind the curtain stuff for many programs every day, and I'm good at it. Yes. I'll own that. I'm good at it. But I also owe it, I believe, to everyone to make sure people know that isn't as easy. It's not as simple. It's not as clear cut as it looks.
Never is. Speaking of man behind the curtain, are there any steps that you take or guidelines to stay focused from task to task? Like how, with the many things you do, how do you keep it all together? Well, not together, but like, how do you keep each task going?
Well, I think first of all, and again, everyone is different, but I have one very straightforward thing. I thrive when I'm passionate about something. So I've had to learn, and this was something I had to learn about myself, but I had to learn that I had to learn to say no. I had to learn to honor my instinct of what I cared about and what I didn't. And so I joke that my brain is like a big whiteboard. that just gets rescheduled every day.
It's fine.
It's like an etch a sketch. But it's true. Like, I mean, I think that I definitely take notes. I put a lot in my calendar. I do sometimes live by my calendar, and I am just as flawed as everyone else. I miss deadlines sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, did I write that down somewhere?
You ever wake up like, shit, that's today?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've done that. Yeah. Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Right there with you.
Yesterday, I had to be out the door at 5 a.m. And this morning, I woke up at 3 with almost like that anxiety of,
yes.
And I was like, no, that was yesterday. Go back to bed. And then I couldn't go back to bed. And so I've been up since 3. I was doing laundry and dishes at like 4:15 this morning. Like, I mean, because guess what? My house, the state of my house will tell you I don't have all my shit together. Like, what? In a way, it's so good that nobody really can come over because I'm like, right. My version of doing laundry right now is doing laundry, dumping the dryer onto my bed, reusing it, and then doing laundry again. Because really, who has time to fucking fold and put shit away these days? Like, I was like, it's an efficiency thing. I was like, why? Just why? I'm gonna wear it again anyway. Just leave it on my bed.
It's fine. It's fine.
So it's like, it's not always a pretty picture.
Absolutely.
You do what you can. You do what you can.
Do what you can. Anybody watching, if you have any questions for Jeni, throw them in the comments and we'll read them out to her. So let's say someone is just starting out, ramping their life up, just starting out with new projects and such. What advice would you give someone who's feeling overwhelmed with their schedule? What do you do when you're feeling overwhelmed?
A lot of my friends would tell you I'm not really good at that question. So, people closest to me be like, oh, wow, I can't wait to hear her answer this one. The bullshit meter's about to go up.
Let's do it.
No, I think, as somebody who has a tough time giving in, again, start with what you're passionate about. Follow your passions. I would tell anybody young, like, I seriously, I know that generations past, like, it's a different world, but we're living in a different world today. And I actually think one of the biggest pluses of the pandemic, there are a couple in my mind. One, it's exposed being able to have tough conversations about things that have always existed, no one wants to talk about. And now it's like, wow, rip the Band-Aid off. Guess what? Now it's affecting so many more people that we can't avoid the conversation anymore. At the end of the day, I think that's a positive. I think it's going to allow us to actually confront and deal with things that have always been able to be like pushed under the rug. So, that being said, me personally, I think that, exercise is important to me and I don't do it often enough. And part of that is, still in recovery from some of my injuries I sustained, 3.5 years ago, but it's still really critical. Like, I started going to Ayana Parent's restorative yoga class the first Friday of every month as it was like my refuge. I held on to that if I did nothing else the past several months. And like, Ayana would laugh because I'm like, I read your post. You said I could show up in pajamas, bring pillows. I can yep, here I am, fuzzy pajamas, my pillows. What else do I need? Can I just sleep here for the night? Because I'm about to get restored.
On the whole new level.
Yoga. Yes, this is something I can get into. Yep. I mean, and she laughs at me because I'm just like, I'm all in. I believe in this class. This is where it's at. So I think you have to find things that really do allow you to completely unplug, whatever that means for you. And of course, that in and of itself is hard in a time where we're Zoom and, everything is online and stuff like that. but it's funny. It's why I'll jump a little bit, but it does feed my soul is the Fun with Food online Zoom cooking class that I've been teaching really brought some interesting things that I wasn't expecting that completely feed my soul.
Okay.
So I as you mentioned, I teach this Fun with Food with me, Fun with Food with Jeni Wheeler, from my home kitchen because the kids are in their home kitchens. And so I felt like it was important not to be all in stainless steel and scary. Like I wanted to make it real. So we set up kind of a mini studio in my kitchen, which has made it really hilarious in some ways to be at my house because I'm like, woo, wow, fancy. But you know what it did, and it's funny because this is how I grew up. I grew up cooking with my grandmother. And we had huge gardens. We grew all our own fruits and vegetables. We canned for the winters. Like we did all of this stuff. And we're so far away from that in so many ways. Even my generation, most of my generation didn't have that experience. And so I feel lucky for having had that. But part of the benefit of teaching Fun with Food, which is a program that I'm teaching under the Cape Cod Culinary Incubator through an Urban Agenda grant that they received. One of the benefits that was unexpected and so moving to me is to see the investment that the parents, grandparents, or guardians and the rest of the family has in what the kids are making. Because I gave every kid a crock pot. We gave them all cutting boards. I give them at least 2 spices every week. We provide all of the ingredients. And we went through learning that spice makes a huge difference in food and that we have to keep trying things because not only do our taste buds change, but we might think we like something or don't like something, but you don't really know if you don't taste it. And if you haven't tasted it in a certain way, you still might not know rather. And so the investment by the parents and grandparents, the guardians, the family, the feedback we've gotten around this whole family dinner, which is so near and dear to my heart. Like I am a full believer in unplug family dinners, conversation, actually talking to the people in your family that you care about. You know, I feel like it's so critical, and particularly with COVID, when you're so disconnected from something else, from everything else, it provides such an opportunity that didn't exist before. And the feedback on that has been so moving to me. It's like that in and of itself has fed my soul. Like, so yes, it's something I do, but it's so enjoyable to me because to see their face, and anyone that knows me knows I am kind of a goofball. I could care less what anyone thinks of me. And so I have a sign in my kitchen that says kitchens are made for dancing. And so with my cooking class for kids, I start and end every class with a dance party.
That's so adorable. So let's talk more about that. How did that come to fruition? Like, where did this idea come from? Can people still sign up, and what are the age limits?
So the class we just taught was basically preteen. And my next session is going to be the same, preteen. And the kids were identified by the Hyannis Youth Center. And, you know, it really came from the fact that pre-COVID, I taught in the after-school program at Hyannis West. I taught a class called Fruits and Veggies Oh My, and it was designed to introduce and entice kids to eat more fruits and vegetables. And, you know, first of all, let's be clear. When you deal in food, it's easy for kids to like you. Easy to get buy-in with food. Heck, it was easy for you to become my friend because of food.
It wasn't just the food, Jeni, but it didn't hurt.
But I'm saying it didn't hurt.
Love food. Love food. And you're an amazing cook. Like, okay, let's just sidebar for a minute. So anybody who's ever hung out with Jeni knows that if we're like, you know what, we can really use like a snack. So I was thinking like, you know, small little snack. Jeni goes in the kitchen and she makes like these little like pork sliders, and then
short rib sliders.
Short rib sliders, and then she made like these pepper things that she put like this cream cheese. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but I will eat it until I die. It was so freaking good. You came out with like these different small like finger dinners that were like culinary beauties, and I tried to look at it, but I ate it too fast. It was so pretty. So where do you get like inspiration to make something that quick? Is it experience? Is it, what you have in your fridge? How do you make something that quick, that damn good?
Well, again, like flavor in food is so personal, right? Like it's, not everyone's going to like everything. And it's funny because like I have no sweet tooth, so I can't bake. And I also can't bake because I can't follow rules. Very bad at rule following. Which, is definitely, it's a thing. Like, I just don't really like rules. So, and yet I love structure, which is hilarious. Like, I like certain levels of structure, but like rules for rules sake is like, what the fuck is that for? Like,
right?
That's stupid. I shouldn't have to listen to that, so I'm not going to. No. Yeah, in baking, it doesn't always go well. And unfortunately, because I don't like sweets at all, like I've never liked sweets. I don't like sugar in anything. I have a hard time with fruit. I know you and I are like the antithesis. I can make you a good drink because conceptually I can feel like it could work together. But you can. But I can't taste it because I'm going to be like, I can't do sweet. I've never been able to though. So I wish I looked like I didn't like sweets because this is the unfair part of it. It's like, dude, at least if I wasn't going to eat sweets, I should look like svelte and shit. But like, no, I look like I eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's every day. It's fucking unfair. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Marie said your food is amazing and your restaurant choices, and she thinks you're amazing. And she said that this is so cool. And she said, T, don't lie. I think she was talking about when I said it wasn't just the food. You don't know that, Marie, okay? I like people because of who they are. They don't have to feed me, but it helps.
That's why I said I don't think it's the only reason, but I certainly think it didn't hurt.
It damn sure didn't, because I'm such a jerk when I'm hungry. Like, I'm a complete asshole.
Hey, You know what? Here's the deal. Your friends should know how to fix certain things in your life. We can't fix everything, but every one of us has skills. We bring different skills to the table.
There we go. Give me a drink and I'll shut up.
Right. For me, I was going to tell you, like, when you ask, how do I know? It's not necessarily that I know. It's that I think I've said this to you before. I don't consider myself very creative. Like, I don't consider myself a super creative person. I don't consider myself super creative. Like, I can't paint or sing. We all know I love music. Like, I love music. I love dancing. I would make a damn fool out of myself. I have no issue with it. Like, don't care. Sing, but like can't. Nobody else wants to hear me sing. I just sing because I love it. I love music. Love live music. I miss music. And it's why the dance party thing, I love music. And so, like, for me, it's all of my creativity. I feel like all of my creativity funneled into the kitchen. Like, it's where I'm my happiest. I love being in a kitchen. I love the thing I miss the most about dinner parties. One, you'll know what one is because you and I share this. What are we?
We are extroverts.
And what do we like to do?
I like to party and I like to dance and hug.
But we really like to hug.
Really like to hug.
See, that's one. Hugging. I miss hugging people. I miss hugging people. And so my food is my hug to the world. Like, it's the only way I can hug the world right now is like through food. And so that's one thing. But also it's just that, you have to follow your own. I feel like you have an inner sense. And when you have an inner sense about something, I don't know that it's volitional. Like, it's not like I sit there and go, what do I think would go together? Like, there's no effort for me in the kitchen. It's what makes the kitchen fun. Like, I feel like it's a blank canvas. And I genuinely don't, I tell the kids this all the time. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong. I mean, there might be things that you're like, yep, that might have been wrong. Not so good.
Yeah.
But that's also personal. Like, for somebody else, they might think it's great. So really, it's like the food is where, I mean, the kitchen is where I'm most comfortable. I'm at my most ease. I have my most confidence. It doesn't require effort. It's fluid. I just sounded like a Boston kid. Effort.
You did. You did.
I was like,
speaking of being creative, I ran out of mayo the other day and I wanted tuna, so I used ranch. Don't do that.
I'm not a ranch fan to begin with, so
yeah,
that's like one of those things kids love. I would always bring ranch to my classes when I was doing fresh vegetables, because it's like, I feel like it's one of those kid things that like they'll eat anything with ranch, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy to have them eat it versus not eat it, but like, there's something about ranch that kind of grosses me out. Like, I'm not a ranch person.
No. Marie said, Jeni, you're creative with food and ways to positively affect people's lives. And she said that I am rude for food, and she don't know me like that. She knows me very much like that.
Yes, yeah, totally. I think that here's the deal. Like, when I went to business school instead of culinary school, and part of me was like, I totally belonged more in like a culinary school.
1 second. You never went to culinary school?
No.
What the shit, Jeni? God damn it, I didn't know that about you. I thought that you went to like Cordon Bleu or something like that.
No, it's kind of one of my regrets. Like, I almost went to culinary school and people talked me out of it, saying like, oh, don't ruin what you love with what, don't ruin what you love doing for fun, like with doing it for a job. Like, and it's kind of a weird, I look back at it, it's kind of weird advice. And, particularly with somebody like me, who's all about like, follow your passions.
Yeah.
But you know what is interesting is that I am a big believer that things happen for a reason. And I have had to, that's been a tough one for me to swallow over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the pandemic in a way that I was like, maybe, just maybe, I had to go through everything I had to go through. Mm-hmm. in order to be the person I am for myself, but also for others now. And maybe it's a ridiculous way for me to explain all of the absolute horrific shit I had to go through, several years ago, but it really, really does feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. And it feels weird to say that in the midst of a pandemic, but I feel like the fact that I went to business school, which was such an odd thing in a way, I didn't know that I belonged anywhere until I was introduced to the concept of social entrepreneurship. I love business. I love hopefully doing good in the world. And I love the idea of using those two forces in synchronicity. So there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do good utilizing business formatting. And in fact, to be perfectly honest, most of the time you have to. And it's a mistake to think you don't. And I think a lot of nonprofits, unfortunately, go that route where it's all vision, but at some point in time, you become a business. And if you don't treat it like a business, I'm not saying you lose the vision, but you have to respect the business of doing that good. And if you don't, then you're not going to be around to do that good anymore. And so for me, I was introduced to the concept of social entrepreneurship by a professor whose name is Natalie Taylor. We lost her many years ago now, and it was devastating to me because I can remember almost like the moment that I just sat in her class being like, I do belong somewhere. I think I found my people. Because I felt so I just always felt so out of step. Like, you know, my father will say that I was the one like clinging to the left side of the plane. Tree hugging, whale saving.
Did you say whale semen?
Whale saving.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are we talking about semen? Are we going there?
No, we're not. No, we're not. I'm so sorry, but I needed to clarify.
Scotch for that one.
That never happened.
Oh, it so happened. I'm going to remind you of it next time we see each other. But yeah, like it's look, here's the other thing that I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
The harder you try to change who you are, the longer your journey is going to take. And I mean, I don't think your journey ever ends, but I would say it's not the longer it's going to take, it's the harder it's going to be, because I'm a true believer that each one of us is born uniquely talented in our own ways. Mm-hmm. And we should not allow the world, our friends or family, or anyone else take that away or diminish it in any way, because it is all of our gifts that get us to the best place. And so, you know, I'm somebody who I think just, I've always felt out of step, and yet I always kind of accidentally stuck to my own path. And it's led to a very circuitous, I took the road less traveled.
Mm-hmm. And it worked.
Every time I came to that divergence in the wood, the world was like, that way. And I was like,
no.
This way looks interesting. And it's led to some interesting scenarios. It's led to having, I think, a uniquely interesting life. Mm-hmm. It has its own set of ups and downs. But again, it's really interesting to me to be in the middle of a pandemic, mm-hmm. and never in my 47 years have I felt more confident in who I am, in what I'm doing, in why I'm doing it. And truly, and I sometimes I've said to people, I feel bad for saying this. I feel like I am in the right place at the right time, mm-hmm. to best utilize my skill set.
Yes.
For the good of as many people as I can, because that's what I enjoy, right? Like, I mean, part of the reason I love food is I love seeing how it impacts other people. It's like, wow, it's like a tugboat.
It's like these kids, man, going up and down the street and these motorcycles. It is the highlight of my day.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's what, you know, and I think here's the thing. And I can genuinely tell you, 3.5 years ago, I never, ever, ever thought I'd say this in my whole entire life. Mm-hmm. I live in an immense amount of gratitude. And I live in an immense amount of gratitude because I went through stuff I wouldn't wish on anyone. And I was supremely lucky to come out the other side. And I consider it luck. So I'll go back to where I started with meeting yourself, mm-hmm. Meeting other people where they are, because I had to learn to meet myself where I was at. I believe that the reason I am most grateful is because I get to do something I am so passionate about, that I love doing, that I'm lucky enough to at least be decent at. and that I can relate to people because I could see myself as any of them.
Mm-hmm. And that changes things.
It completely changes things.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe that person that you, but for the grace of whatever you believe in, that could be you. And that was me.
Mm-hmm.
I landed there 3.5 years ago and almost didn't survive coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird for me to think of all the things that I wouldn't have done had I not. Yeah. And that will forever keep me present. Forever. And I don't wish that on anyone else. But for me, it has made me who I am today. And I would not trade this person for anything other than maybe the babies.
Yeah.
That's just being honest.
Yeah. So I want to kind of push a little bit more into this conversation, but I don't want to make you super uncomfortable.
Oh, have at it, girlfriend. I told you, shit's gonna get real. I am. Okay. There's nothing off the table.
Okay, good.
Other than the new job, because that'll be rolled out a little later.
we don't have to talk about that now. So when you're talking about not being here, I want to clarify that we're talking about depression. We're talking about suicide. We're talking about not wanting to see another day for whatever reason, but still being here. Yes. I'd like to delve into that a little bit if you're comfortable talking about that. And
completely no, but sure.
If you're not comfortable, we don't have to. But I think it might help.
We're not, but let's go.
Who
the hell's comfortable with that?
Nobody's comfortable talking about suicide. Like, no. But
it's the antithesis of who I am. Mm-hmm. It's the antithesis of how people see me. It's the antithesis of how I see me, right? Mm-hmm. So how does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that happen? And I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I think that, as I mentioned, I had suffered 3, one right after another miscarriages with, decently first one into the second trimester.
So you were
first one into, and then the second and the third pretty far into the first trimester, all with heartbeats, all, but, on the flip side, like, I was in my early 40s. Who the fuck waits that long to get pregnant? And it's not like I was trying. No one was more surprised by this than me. I was like, whoa, hold the phone. What's happening? I was building my business. I was like, I literally thought I had my shit straight. I had made my peace with not having kids. Like I was good. And then all of a sudden I was like, what just happened?
Like, what is this world?
Yeah. And, so I had never dealt with, I'm super, I don't even know that I can say I'm lucky, because maybe had I dealt with any of this before, I would have seen any symptoms. But I hadn't. I have never dealt with any sort of depression, anxiety, like I've just never been that person. I've never had to deal with that in my past. So this was my first real experience. And I would say that it's, difficult to self-diagnose, but because I was living with somebody who had kids and they didn't know about the pregnancies, because of course we had waited to tell them until we felt that it was viable. I kind of went through it a little bit feeling like on my own, because I had to put on that facade that everything was fine. And inside I felt like I was dying inside, right? I felt like my body had betrayed me as somebody who had been an athlete. That was very difficult. Like And I also felt like it was very unfair. And I'm not a big person that, like, I would be the first person to say life isn't fair. It's not meant to, but this felt very unfair. And so, I was dealing with a lot on that. And then 6 weeks after I suffered my third miscarriage, I fell through the tub in Kentucky.
Well, all that happened. It was
right before.
Oh,
yeah. So, wow. I got to focus on building Jeni's Joy. I was focused on my partner's kids and, his girls who, like, I adored, like they were mine. I couldn't love them more. And so, that's what kind of got me through. And then when I had the accident in Kentucky, my whole world got upended because I am very active. I'm very, very physically active. I am very positive by nature. And as an athlete, I just kind of expected, okay, let's go. Like, I had all of these injuries I sustained in the fall, and I was like, let's go. And I very much, I felt like my dream was on the line with Jeni's Joy. I had been building out my own commercial kitchen that had been delayed a couple of times opening because of equipment coming in, faulty or whatever. And here I am now totally laid up with all of these injuries. And never in a million years did I also compare or conflate those with the miscarriages per se.
Was anybody with you at that time, like helping take care of you physically, or were you by yourself?
I mean, well, first of all, I'm a mother hen. So I'm usually the one that wants to take care of others. So I'm not always good at letting somebody take care of me.
No.
I know you find that shocking.
Shocking.
And so I think that, hindsight, well, funny enough, this year I feel like it's even funnier. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, I like it.
However, the reality is that I don't think I think I mask well by nature. I compartmentalize well, I mask well. And so I don't know that I let a lot of people see the cracks, and there were a lot of cracks. Like,
were you in therapy at all, or just you're doing this?
I wasn't in any type. I was in PT and OT 3 days every week. I was attempting to recover from. I sustained a brain injury in that fall. I sustained multiple orthopedic injuries, and so I was just literally and figuratively trying to put one foot in front of the other. And I wasn't healing. Like, I wasn't healing well. Nothing was working. I felt physically sick every day. It was hard. It was really hard. And yet you're still trying to be everything to everyone around you instead of just like falling apart at the seams, which I felt like I was doing on the inside, but I don't even know that I could identify that at the time. Mm-hmm. And, unfortunately, at the same time, with all of that going on, the relationship started to fall apart. Everything started to come unglued. I wasn't healing. I lost my business. The whole thing just went sideways, right? Mm-hmm. And to this day, I can't tell you like, wow, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. My ex and I had like a blowout fight. And I was supposed to be leaving the next morning for Miami. My best friend, my bags were packed. I mean, I literally was leaving hours later.
And that's when you fell through the tub?
No. This was recovering as the rest of my world was falling apart. And that's when I took a handful of pills and just decided that was it, done. Like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I don't really think it had anything to do with like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it still doesn't make sense. It's incongruous with who I am. But I was on medications that I didn't know had side effects that could be suicidal thought processes. I didn't recognize that everything I had gone through, even though this seems so basic, like might have led to some level of depression. I
One or
wasn't
two
aware of
things.
all that. I just didn't know. And because I had never dealt with it before, and even if I had, I'm not sure that I would have been able to, but I just hadn't. I had never been in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't quite know what happened, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, I was found breathing but unconscious. And I'm immensely lucky. Like I didn't feel lucky. I did not feel lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that when I woke up, I was angry. And I stayed angry for a while. And
Yeah.
that is, anyone that knows me knows that is not something you see from me very often. I'm very slow to anger. But I was angry
Angry that you were still here or
I
something.
was angry at the world. I was angry that I was still here. I was angry that I didn't feel that I felt like I was a good person and I did not need to live through those 3 miscarriages. I was angry that I finally found like the boldness to embrace my passion and find the idea of Jeni's Joy, which was the name of my company and lived to torment me for the next couple of years because it felt like an unattainable goal. The idea that I could ever find joy coming out of this was it taunted me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a nerve injury in my elbow. I
Your elbow?
couldn't use my knife skills. Yeah, I lived in a RoboCop arm for like 2+ years. I was angry. I was angry. I was angry at my ex. I was angry. I mean, losing his kids was at least as bad as losing the ones we, were supposed to have together.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry. I was angry that my family went MIA. I was angry that, I had kind of done a lot of things right. I have my MBA, I have all, and I was angry that my body betrayed me with the miscarriages. I was angry that my body wasn't healing with these injuries. I just was angry at everything and probably most at myself. Like because find I couldn't find that man behind the curtain. I couldn't fake anything to anyone. Like I could not mask anything.
Do you
I
think that's
was
something that saved you? Like not being able to hide that?
I think so, because again, I go back to like the greatest thing. The reason I believe truly that people relate to me, that people seem to be attracted to me with like what I say and what I do, is I believe they feel in some format a level of sincerity, and it is real. Like that is completely accurate. And I
Yep.
don't think you can fake that. And that's where I say the hardest thing I ever had to do was learning to meet myself where I'm at. And I will never have an answer for that night. I will never find complete peace over that happening. But it's what got me to do the hard work. And interestingly enough, it's what got me the help I needed. Because I literally, I joke with people that I felt like I got deported to Cape Cod. Not kidding.
It's not too bad.
Oh no, it didn't feel good at the time. No, let me tell you, I was not a happy camper. I felt like I got deported here and I was pissed. But it was, it introduced me to Spalding, which is truly effectively the place that I feel like, I in the way I've found an ability to tell my story, and it took a long time for me to get there. My best friend's parents saved my life. They brought me to Cape Cod. They made me move in with them. They literally saved my life. Getting introduced to Faith Family Kitchen through Peter Troutman at Stargo Cafe gave me a life back. The collaborative, founding the collaborative, gave me back. It gave me my confidence back. And really, in a way, it gave me my joy back, because I realized I could do bigger things again. Not everything. I still have issues from my injuries. I mask them well. Not everyone, very few people can see them. I'm lucky that not many people can hear them, or, with the brain injury piece. However, I still deal with residual issues with that every day. And so I think having to constantly meet myself where I'm at allows me to see me in anybody that comes up, because there's no part of me that thinks that couldn't be me, because
it could.
I never thought I could be me, right? Like, I never thought what happened to me years ago could be me.
I never thought I could be me. That speaks volumes. Volumes. It speaks loud.
Well, and it's something I wasn't able to put into words for a long time. And I think I still struggle with what it means, because I have to confront, like, I will never have an answer for that night, but it's what keeps me. I always want to do better. And I'm not gonna lie, I always think I was a good person. Like, my heart has never changed, but my ability to see people where they are and what they're doing, and just see the possibility of me in them, keeps me very, very, very grateful. I'm grateful I can be there for them. I'm also grateful for where I'm at. And it's that simple and that complex all at the same time.
Yes, I can attest to you being a genuine person, because I'm a Scorpio and I can see through bullshit and anything. I can see through everybody's bullshit. And you've always been not just kind, because kind it's good, but it's also fleeting. You're just genuine. Just genuine.
Well,
I just like you.
I don't ever try and be something I'm not. Like, I am too old and too jaded for that.
You don't have time for that shit. Just don't have time.
I mean, but it really does keep it real. I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for that nonsense.
No.
But it allows me to be way bolder than I ever was before, to be honest, because I'm like, I'm not going to settle for bullshit. Like, I'm not going to settle for, cop out answers. And I think partially during the pandemic, it's why it's why I have to move jobs. It's why I have to, because you know what? I feel like it's the right time for bold thinking and for big ideas and for problem solving. It isn't time to band-aid shit and like,
nope.
Yeah, like I can't. I'm sorry. No, now's not the time. Like, no. And I won't participate in that. Like, I named the collaborative, which is a collaboration between Jeni's Joy, the Cape Cod Culinary Incubator, and the ACF, the American Culinary Federation. And not for nothing, I think it's a little badass. And I think it's badass because it is not rocket science. So what we are doing is not rocket science. But I can't tell you how hard it is to get people to collaborate from such a pure place of, it isn't about me. It isn't about you. It's about getting shit done.
Yes.
Stop. Like, with all the nonsense, the red tape, the this, the that. People can find excuses for everything.
In anything.
Shut the fuck up and do it. And honestly, if you're not, get the hell out of the way. Like, I don't want to start new things. I don't want to recreate the wheel. I want to collaborate. I want to amplify. I love that Tara, like a friend of mine now and your CLI classmate, amplify POC. Yay! It's like, that is the point. We want to do this together. It takes all of us. We should not be competing. We should be collaborating.
That's right. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village.
And it sounds cliche, but it is not. And so, you know what? I want to lift people up. I want to give them, and food feeds the soul. And this is not, I tell people this all the time. I hate when people call it food insecurity. It makes me crazy.
Yes.
We're talking about food security. We already deal with stigma. Talking about food security, but more than food security, I like to talk about nutritional security, because if you're not giving your body the nutrients it needs, then it's not going to function well. And we all know this. And if your body is not functioning well, it impacts your physical health, it impacts your mental health, it impacts everything, it impacts your relationships, your studies, whatever it is. It impacts all of that. Guess what? We don't have a functional society. It impacts everything. So let's cut the nonsense and actually start to try and solve the problem. And here's the deal. We don't have an enormous food issue. We don't. We have access and distribution problems. We have all sorts of issues, but a lot of it, like that's like 85% of it, and maybe 15% is food. It's not that there's no issue. Oh, my friend Megan just got here. Hi, Megan. Not, she just rang my doorbell. I'm going to text her my front door code so that she can let herself in.
Well, I'll let you wrap up. I just have one more question I want to ask you. Actually, it's two more questions. I lied. I have two more questions. What kind of team do you have behind you? And the second question, I'll save it until after you answer this one, because the second question is silly and fun.
Okay. What type of team do I have behind me? I would say I have the most incredible team, and I use team broadly. I have incredible people working with me, behind me, in front of me, and on all sides, because a team does not have an I in it. And so all around me are some of the most incredible people, but I also have the most exquisitely amazing group of friends. So, yourself included, that give me such grace and humor and laughter and let me cry and rant and vent and all the other stuff. Megan, did you get in? Maybe she did not get in.
Did Megan get in?
What is happening here?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just checking. So anyway, but most amazing people around me ever. So, give me a lot of strength and, fortitude. So I would say that's that. And that goes, like I said, personally and professionally. And I think you should always seek to surround yourself. Don't ever tolerate bullshit. Like, seek to surround yourself with people that bring something to your life.
Yes. Yes. And last question.
Yes.
What TV show best describes your life right now?
Oh, Jesus. I have had no time to watch TV at all. Oh, you got in. Good. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Megan. Hi, Kate.
I literally was like, my friend's here. I don't want to get. So what TV show best describes my life? Okay, so I literally watch almost no TV because I have no time. My mom keeps asking if I've seen Bridgerton, and I literally am like, I keep hearing it, but I'm just like, I was like, are you thinking I have time to watch TV?
I don't have time for this shit.
T just asked me when I have time to breathe. I don't know what's happening here. What TV show best? I've often described, and I wouldn't say it's my life right now, but I've often described, it's funny, Sex and the City is, to me, it's like, I feel like most people, I feel like this is so clear to me, but like those 4 women characters to me are one real person put together. Like when you
Okay, I can
take
see
the
that.
4 characters and put them together, it's one real person, right? Because nobody is all of that all the time. And so I feel like I say that to people all the time because with me, people are like, oh, you know, Facebook or this or that. And I'm just like, well, who do you think I am? Well, that's some crazy bullshit. Like, who can
Right?
act like that all the time?
So I lied. I have one more question. My friend Marie,
Okay.
I was doing my pre-interview prep with her, and I didn't ask a question, and she wants me to ask it. How many masks do you have? In a lot of the videos, you're wearing a bunch of different masks, and which one is your favorite? And do you
I literally
mask
thought you
mask?
meant on a deeper level of how many masks do I have of like how many people do I pretend?
No.
Wow,
Just
that
face mask. We
is-
don't have that kind of
I'm
time.
like, that is really intense, T.
No, I'm not your
That
therapist.
is some deep shit right there. Whew. I don't know. I might need to get a therapist for that.
Nope, not gonna ask you that.
Okay. How many? A lot.
A lot. Yes.
I have a lot of masks. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm masked every day, and I feel grateful that in some ways, like I'm not as isolated as a lot of people because of what I do. I'm incredibly safe. I have a ton of, we have a ton of COVID, regulations surrounding what I do, but we don't, because of what I do, I am outside of my house more than I am inside of my house. And sometimes I wish I could be home a little bit more so that, find those things like sleep. However, because of that, I have a lot of masks. And I've had the most exquisite experience of people making me masks, which is really, really, sorry, it makes me feel really good. And it's really gratifying because, Tara Vargas Wallace, founder of Amplify, who I think is a badass, amazing person in her own right, made me a Wonder Woman mask. And it was really funny, like, because I kind of started to cry because I don't really see myself that way. And so I found myself shying away from wearing it. And it was interesting because it really felt like it felt funny. And yet at the same time, like I'm looking at her thinking like, okay, she's bad.
Right? I feel the same way, yeah.
And yet at the same time, I was like, you know what? Maybe we're all a little badass. Like, and maybe like this is one of those ways, like it's a little outside my comfort zone. But every time I put it on, I feel a little bit like I'm like putting on like the Wonder Woman. Like, you can almost know if I'm having a tough day. Sometimes I put it on because I feel like it's my own little shield. Like, and it's not because I feel strong. It's because I feel like I need strength. And so they do funny things. But I've had people give me an RBG mask. Like I've had people give me a heart mask. I've had people give me things, and it really, to me, it feels like such a gift because I feel like it says what their perception of me is, which isn't always my perception. And again, I think it like in that trying to walk in truth and like meet myself where I'm at, it reminds me that I do get to have an impact. I do have a voice. I do get to make a difference. And words matter. Like words matter.
Yes.
So it allows me to kind of remind myself here and there, like when, and I'm really grateful for that because it's been an interesting subtext, right? On a pandemic, putting on a mask makes you feel like you almost take your voice away. And yet the mask itself can not only give you voice, but it also can give you strength. Like it kind of can do both. And so I found that to be an interesting juxtaposition during this pandemic. But lots. I have lots and lots and lots.
Let me just say, first of all, that is my favorite word, juxtaposition. It just sounds so much fun. Thank you for saying it. You had no idea.
You're welcome.
Glad that you did.
Wasn't even prompted. Who knew?
Right? Favorite word. That's pretty much it for me, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Jeni, for being here and for being so candid and sharing parts of your story. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for always making me uncomfortable, T.
Anytime. You can find Jeni on Facebook at Jeni Wheeler. She is the founder and chief culinary artist of Jeni's Joy. We're going to go through all this because you earned it. She's a founder of Family Table Collaborative, the executive chef and program director at Faith Family Kitchen. She is the vice chair.
You can stop there. Then the fun with food is my favorite thing I'm doing right now with teaching, and I'm good. I can it's like enough.
And she's
I try. Love is always my secret ingredient. Sprinkle that shit liberally everywhere you go. So love is my secret ingredient. It should be everyone's secret ingredient. The world needs a little more love. And that's what I try and bring to everything I do. And that's really, it just sums me up.
That just sums you up. Well, thank you. It damn sure does. And I feel like you're a wonderfully genuine person. Thank you for spending your Friday night with me. I appreciate it.
I miss you.
I miss you too.
And I'm so happy any of you tuned in. And I'm happy. Thank you, T, for inviting me.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you have a wonderful Friday night. Drink some wine.
Choose to be kind. Nice.
Yes.
Choose to be nice.
Choose to be kind. It's so easy. It's so easy.
It should be.
Here's to you, Wonder Woman.
Here's to you, girlfriend.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Deuces.